Everybody, welcome to the Fandom Post Radio Podcast. I am your engineer, Kate, and joining me this episode is Brandon.
Hello.
Kestrel.
Yo.
And Cain.
Hello, hello.
We have recently learned that nobody has seen DJ for like a month. So if anybody has heard from DJ, tell him that his podcast misses him.
Maybe he got isekai'd into his own visual novel.
Oh my god. That is
incredible.
Horrifying.
It's been a while.
It has.
Yes.
It's been a while. It's been a minute. It's been a longer minute for me. We are going to be catching up on the news and checking in with the winding down summer season. And we'll probably keep this a shorter episode because I know a decent number of us are going to be checking out the live action One Piece, or as people have shortened it to OPLA. OPLA is the acronym I've seen going around.
I don't know if you're supposed to pronounce it like that.
OPLA.
That's right. One Piece Los Angeles.
One Piece Lost in LA. Yeah, just like CSI LA or whatever.
Yeah. It's just the Straw Hats in Los Angeles.
Hey, that would be a good show too, let's be honest.
Their next island they visit is just Los Angeles.
So that's gonna be a time. That's coming out tomorrow.
That is coming out in less than 7 hours.
It's coming out in less than 7 hours. This will not be, so it'll be out when this episode goes up live. So no one will actually be paying attention to this episode. Everybody's going to be watching One Piece.
Are they releasing it all at one go?
Yeah.
Because it's Netflix. Because it's Netflix.
Well, they've had some weekly stuff recently.
Only like simulcasts, I think, like stuff that was originally broadcast on another network, like some anime and Bake Off and stuff like that. Mostly they've still been doing the binge format.
I thought they did an experiment with a couple of shows where they released them like in blocks.
Yeah, they've been doing like the, half seasons. But still I haven't seen like just one episode a week format for an original.
Yep. So that's going to be a trip this weekend. Happy Labor Day.
The entire series will be out by the time this episode is out.
Yep. So we can't tell you how it is yet.
But we will soon.
So, news.
Yeah, so despite the fact that it's been well over a month, I have almost no news, which probably means that I just wasn't thinking about putting it down when it came up. So actually the first few things are from over a month ago now. So first thing is, wish DJ was on for this because it's about the company Key, which, makes Nod, which obviously I'm also a big fan of, Kanon Air, lots of other visual novels that have been adapted into anime, some original anime like Angel Beats, and their parent company Visual Arts has been acquired by Tencent, which is the giant Chinese corporation that owns all video game companies and all companies in the universe.
Yeah, just like everything, pretty much.
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
if you're not being bought off by Saudi Arabia, you're being bought by China.
Yeah, right. Nobody can remain independent anymore. Everyone just gets bought by some giant corporation. But
Kind of disgusting.
I know
that's what happens with breweries and stuff too. Like an independent brewery will come out and get some clout locally, and then like Bud Miller Coors comes knocking at the door and buys them, and the product instantly goes to shit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep. It happens everywhere.
Yeah,
Sucks.
I mean, I feel like there must be precedent for this. Like Tencent owns so much that it must have come up before. but like Keep puts out a lot of 18 plus games. What does China have to say about that? So we'll see if that changes anything.
That's a very good point. Or maybe they just saw the bottom line and they're like, yeah, this is fine.
Right.
But is Tencent really out of China, or do they have like the Singapore like subsidiary actually incorporated over here, so our government can't come and shut us down?
Yeah, it's probably something like that, because they certainly have their U.S. division that works on all the U.S. films and stuff like that. So probably nothing to worry about. It's just a thought that arises.
Tencent's got their money everywhere. Like I said, they are the Saudi Arabia of the video game company thing that isn't Saudi Arabia. So,
right.
Yeah.
Also, last month, as you know, probably be 2 months ago by the time this episode's out.
It doesn't
Otakon happened. Sorry, what?
Didn't you guys do an Otakon episode? No.
No, our last episode was released during Otakon, but it was recorded before it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it has been, again, over a month. So Otakon happened about a month ago, maybe a little bit over a month now. And as usual at anime conventions that are not Anime Expo, nothing really matters except Discotheque. So Discotheque had a panel, or a couple panels, kind of. So they announced a bunch of stuff at their normal industry panel. I guess I should have included that. But the last thing they announced was like, Digimon Adventure 02, second season of Digimon, specifically the dub version at first, and then they'll go back and do the Japanese. This was expected since they had the first season. And then they also had like a 3-hour time slot booked for a Digimon screening. And their announcement at their panel about Digimon was not actually that. So at the beginning of the screening session, they announced what the big announcement was, which is that they're releasing the original 3 Digimon movies that were chopped up into Digimon the movie in the US. So they're going to have all 3 of the original versions, the first 2 of which were directed by Mamoru Hosoda. The second one, very clearly the prototype for Summer Wars. So they're going to release all 3 of those uncut, subtitled. They also commissioned a brand new dub with all of the surviving original voice actors, and like kind of made it feel like it was recorded back in 2000. So it like actually fits with the series really well. But it's the, uncut content other than the name changes. And then additionally, it has the original Digimon the movie cut from the US included as well. So
that's wild.
Yep. That's all happening.
Not knowing how those play out, I would.
Yeah.
I barely know anything about Digimon, but I would be interested to just watch those to see what the US like Abomination Frankenstein looks like what it chopped up and picked and shows, if it's based off of those 3 things. That's a shitload of content to whittle down into one thing.
Especially since like they're not even 3 films occurring in the same time period. Like the first one is a prequel to the original series that takes place many years before. I guess not many years, they're still kids, but several years before. They're significantly younger. Then the second one is like concurrent or slightly after the first season. And then the third one is during the second season, which is another several years time skip, where the characters in the first one are relatively grown up. So it's basically just like a 3-chapter film that they tried to present anyway. And they tried to like tie some plot points together that did not have any connection in the original stories. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Did they do that because these were like the 45-minute films?
Yes.
Or something? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
okay.
That's back when Toei was doing like 2 or 3 films at a release. Like it would be a double or triple feature that you'd go to. So you'd have 30 to 45 minute films and the first two at least were that. I think the third one was maybe closer to an hour and a half, but the first two were definitely very short. So that's probably why they did that. Yeah.
I cannot imagine the person whose job it was to do that just sitting at a desk and be like, how am I going to chop all these things together?
Yeah, I mean, it is basically just they cut out a few scenes. They added an interesting American soundtrack to it. And
they have Linkin Park in it?
I don't think it had Linkin Park. It definitely had Bare Naked Ladies.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That song, what is it? 1 Week. I fully associate that with Digimon the movie because like this was an important part of my childhood. Like Digimon was huge to me growing up, and I watched the Digimon movie, that VHS from Blockbuster, over and over again back in 2000. So it was a trip to watch these because I hadn't seen any Digimon content, especially that stuff, since pretty much back then, 23 years ago, well before Summer Wars. So like seeing that, getting back into that, the whole nostalgia trip, and then realizing just how much it was just Summer Wars. Yeah, it's fascinating. So that was cool. I'll definitely be buying this because like I wasn't planning on buying any Digimon stuff, but if they were going to release the uncut versions of the Hosoda movies, I was going to go for that, especially our war game. And yeah, we're basically getting that and everything else you could possibly expect in that package. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Hosoda really likes Summer Wars.
You mean because he's made it 3 times?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
and it's interesting too because they're all kind of like, they're a little prescient, they're a little before their time. They're all pretty good at like capturing what the internet was and was about to become at that moment in time in whatever it was, 99, 2009, and 2019. Was it? Did he really make them exactly 10 years apart? Wow, I never thought about that. So yeah, I think that is a really interesting thing that they have going for them, is that you can kind of trace the evolution of the internet and his relationship to it and his take on it and how much he kind of anticipated in the years ahead. Like it was starting to be there, but he was very much on the bleeding edge each time. So yeah, very good triple feature, I think, to check out.
Did they use that like really baller cleanup tool?
Oh, Astro Res.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if Justin mentioned anything about that.
Because they first showcased that with a Digimon, didn't they? Like those are some of the first screenshots where they were like before and after.
Yeah. I think they had used it a little bit before, but Digimon was when they like figured it out. Like it was really incredible. And then even more so with the Japanese release, like just in the months between the dub release and the Japanese release, the Astro Res guys figured out so much more that they were able to make it even better. And I'm trying to think, I believe the first Digimon movie is the only Digimon anime that was on film. So I think they could probably scan that one. I can't remember if they mentioned anything about it. But I guess as we get closer to a disc release, they'll probably have more to say about it. Right now, they haven't mentioned anything about discs, just they had the screening there with the new dubs. They had some nice video messages from the whole cast and everything. They had the ADR director there, who's like a huge Digimon fan who grew up with it as well. So she was fangirling about getting to direct all these guys and recreating her childhood. So yeah, we'll see.
I'm turning to dust over here.
Because 2000 is our childhood.
Yeah. I was in college. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was watching Digimon. I was just watching it in college.
I mean, I'm getting to experience that now myself because, like, one of my friends is 23, and so talking to him about like what we grew up on versus what he grew up on, and he's like, "Yeah, my first anime were like Naruto and Bleach when they were airing in the U.S. I was like 5 years old or whatever." But
and you're like,
and we were talking about this, and I was like, "Yeah, you remember when? Oh, that was the year you were born. Never mind." You probably weren't watching that from Blockbuster.
What's a Blockbuster?
Yeah. No, we actually established that he's never seen a VHS in real life.
Oh my
man.
god. Oh my god. Did you have one kicking around you could show him?
No,
Damn it.
sorry, Kenneth. I'm just talking about you now. He had never even like bought a disc. Like I had to teach him how to open the disc and like
Oh no.
open up the case and pull out the insert. And like, yeah, you can get that sign. No, you don't get the plastic on top of its sign. There's like a paper thing inside. You have to open up the case all the way so you can slide it out.
Behold,
Yeah.
ancient technology.
No, this
The
is just
wise
sad.
ones.
My niece and nephew can handle discs. And they've actually touched and used VHSs.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're born in the 21st century, you don't have to. You never had to.
Never had to, yeah, but I feel like I don't know. That makes my niece and nephew more worldly than your friend. That's sad.
in that way, sure.
I did see on like I think a subreddit thread one day, and I'm still mulling over if it was a troll or not. I'm pretty sure it was genuine, but a guy asked if he bought a movie on Blu-ray, would there be ads in it?
I mean,
Oh,
I feel like that's a
no.
fair question to ask these days.
That's
I mean,
true.
would there be ads in it? There might be, oh man. Now I'm remembering like pre-roll trailers on discs and stuff. When you throw the disc in and you'd be like, I'm locked in this pre-roll. Why is it doing this to me? How dare
Yeah.
you?
Oh god.
So kind of. I mean,
I just saw
Yeah,
like a
kind of, but
vision.
this person meant like ads, like
Yeah.
ad breaks.
Oh
right.
my god. I
Yeah,
just
it
saw a
was
vision
weird.
of like a terrible future where you have to buy like the premium edition Blu-ray to not have ads on it.
Of course,
Oh,
yeah. DLC to remove the ads.
yeah. Oh no.
Subscription package.
Yeah.
This will remove the ads for 3
Blu-ray
months.
Battle Pass, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, I'm shocked we're not there. I guess because nobody buys discs. That's why we're not there.
Yeah.
Well, they used to.
Oh man.
Disney, I think, had some discs that, and not just Disney. I have a couple in my collection. When I put the movies in, if your player is connected to the internet, it tries to reach out to a server to get whatever the newest trailers are.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't
Wow.
surprise me.
Yeah.
So it's not the
I feel
first
like
time
I've
it's
heard
been
something
tried.
about that, but yeah, I've never experienced it.
Disney, all the way back in the VHS days, would always have trailers for other releases at the very
Mhm.
beginning of the either the disc or the VHS.
I mean,
that you
anime
basically had
companies
to
too.
pass. Yeah, anime companies at least, eventually they would throw that shit in like the extras and be like, here's a bunch of trailers for shit.
Yeah. But I feel like within the past like 5 years, Funimation discs were still putting like a trailer for a show in front. You could skip it, I think, but I think some made it so that you couldn't easily.
It makes me so sad that like Disney were like a pinnacle of physical media for me as a child, and now they're like Disney Plus shows get quote unquote physical versions, and it's a case with just a QR code inside of it. There isn't even a disc anymore.
Yeah, that was bullshit. That was
Wait,
some like
really?
test balloon bullshit that they.
I think
Yeah, they
for
did.
their,
They
like,
put
Loki
out
show
a.
and WandaVision or whatever. They get
they
physical editions without discs in them.
When was
they made
that?
they made steel books that were just a steel book with a code in it,
Yeah, recently.
which
better
defeats
than
the
the last
purpose
few
of a
months.
steel book. But
Yeah, they just announced the Loki and WandaVision steelbooks, but they said 4K UHD, didn't they? Do they just mean like a
That doesn't mean there's going to be a disc in there.
No, they
What?
didn't.
What?
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
I'd be wary
Man, here's
about
the real
that.
news that
Oh,
Kestrel
no.
did not get.
Seriously.
Oh
Wow.
no.
I'm
Yeah.
sickened.
They're like,
No,
it's
this
just
says
a collector's
4K
item.
Blu-ray.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, but there were. This is not a trick.
All
Okay,
right, link
I
me
see
to your
this.
alternate universe where this happened.
Either that or they very quickly reneged on it.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Everyone was like, what the fuck are you doing? And
Anyway, also from that, or from Discotech's actual panel, we've got so Digimon Season 2, like I mentioned, Overman King Gainer, Lady Georgie, this Mamoru Oshii live action film that I can't describe it at all. Just watch the trailer. But it has like a bunch of famous anime creatives as actors in it. So it's got like Toshio Suzuki from Ghibli, Mitsuhisa Ishikawa from Production IG, Shoji Kawamori, who was at Otakon actually, and Kenji Kawai, the composer of a lot of Oshi's stuff and a lot of other stuff. They're all like actors in it. So yeah, super fucking weird. But they got that. Also, Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, is getting a 4K UHD Blu-ray release. It actually just got solicited yesterday, I believe. And Justin says it's killed them like Aiko killed them, and probably their best looking disc yet. So yeah, if you're into that movie at all, definitely check that out.
It's one of the best video game adaptations like ever.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
It's a really fun movie.
Yeah, it's dope. I used to rent that as a kid a lot, even though I didn't even play Street Fighter.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never really had any interest in Street Fighter, but I have heard good things about the movie.
Yeah, luckily you don't need to know anything, because Street Fighter doesn't really have that much of a story anyway.
Right.
There's just these characters and sometimes a mysterious corporation that does bad things, and some of the characters try to stop it, and some don't. And there you go.
Yeah, I don't think the plot matters in that movie at all.
Right. Like, this is a different situation because the plot of the series does matter, but like Arcane, I have no interest in League of Legends. But League of Legends doesn't really have a story, so it doesn't matter if you know anything about it or you care about it at all, because Arcane can just kind of take this basic lore and these characters and create an incredible story out of it. And I love that series. It's one of my favorites, and I still have no interest in League of Legends.
Good man.
Yeah, that's some good tenacity on you. Good.
But yeah, so those were some of the highlights that they announced at Otakon. Yeah, anything else about discotheque stuff, Otakon stuff? I know I was the only one here who was at the con. But yeah.
I think they said they were putting out Cyber 6 on Blu-ray. Or no, what were they doing?
Yeah, that's
doing another remake. They were like, yeah, we're putting this out again. And I'm like, shit, I'm going to buy that again.
You are correct. They are releasing Cyber 6 on Blu-ray.
Yeah. It's like, why didn't you do that the first time? Shit. Okay. Because I'm buying this.
How were they for? Oh, sorry, I was.
No, I was like, that's a weird show. The history of that show is weird. It was like an X-rated comic that got turned into like a Fox Kids show.
Yeah, I had never even heard of Cyber 6.
Because it was like Brazilian comic book, and then like made into like a French Canadian or Japanese Canadian, one of those weird multi-country like random one-off Canadian shows that gets aired on Fox on Saturday mornings back in the day.
Right, exactly. And I only found out about it I think the day before at Otakon, because my first panel of the day was in this room, and I have AX Brain where you need to show up early and camp in the room, but it's Otakon, so you can just show up last minute anywhere and get a perfectly good seat because it's a great convention. But we sat in this panel before the thing that we were going to for a good chunk of it, and it was a panel about I don't know if it was Japanese adaptations of Western media or Japanese co-productions, stuff like that. And so Cyber 6 was one of the things they brought up, and they were like, I think you can still get the Discotheque DVD. And then the next day, Discotheque announced the Blu-ray. So I had literally only known about it for one day.
Good show. It's kind of wild.
And also, they talked about the fact that it was a very adult source material that was turned into a kids show, which is interesting. Sorry, Cain, what were you going to say before?
I was mainly going to ask how they were with mass COVID stuff this time around. Are they still being pretty strict about it, or what was the general vibe in that standpoint?
No, COVID doesn't exist anymore. Masks don't exist anymore.
Hell yeah.
I haven't seen a human wearing a mask in the year 2023.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been
I have.
to Otakon for maybe 2 years now in a row, but I know like MagFest, this is the first year I think where they're easing up because last year they were still like, nope, mask
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
all this other stuff, and I think this year they announced that they were still going to have some things, but they weren't going to be as strict. So I was curious how Otakon was.
yeah, no conventions that I've been to this year have enforced anything around that. They all did last year. Same thing with like, even flying, like basically not seeing anyone in airports or airplanes wearing a mask ever anymore. Interesting.
I'll say that changes going into fall because numbers are starting to tick back up again.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, we'll see.
Anime Boston, I still saw a lot of people wearing masks. But it wasn't required at that convention. But a lot of people were voluntarily wearing masks.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I didn't do any traveling until like end of May. So yeah, maybe it was more common earlier in the year, but I really haven't seen anyone.
California, land of rebels.
Well, my point isn't while I'm in California, it's when I'm traveling on airplanes and conventions and big gatherings like that.
Everywhere that's not here, rebels.
I guess.
Kate going full isolationist.
Yeah, so next piece of news. So we don't give a lot of attention to background artists very often. But, background art is a very important part of anime, underappreciated. And a few weeks ago, we saw the passing of probably one of the most important background artists in the history of anime. His name was Nizo Yamamoto, passed away at age 70 due to stomach cancer. And he was the art director for Future Boy Conan, Castle in the Sky, Grave of the Fireflies, Magnetic Rose, Princess Mononoke, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, and several episodes of Sherlock Hound. He also was just a background artist for Lupin III, Castle Cagliostro, Only Yesterday, Whisper of the Heart, Perfect Blue, and Spirited Away. And more recently, he did the Weather Shrine painting in Weathering With You. So, he's worked very extensively with Miyazaki, Takahata, Kon, Shinkai, all the huge names in the industry. Hosoda, of course.
Yeah. Rest in peace to a goat.
Yep.
I'm literally the other day I was looking for wallpapers that fit like on the split between two monitors, and I literally have a background from Only Yesterday as my background on my computer right now. So
There you go.
wow.
Yeah, that's an incredible
piece.
resume.
I know.
Yeah, that's so stacked.
It's like a dying art form, not so much for like background artists and anime and stuff like that, but they used to be people that would have to do that for like backgrounds for like for movies where you would have a
Right.
backdrop,
Yeah.
and it was like a real art in order to like learn how to do that and do it well. And a lot of those people, just the same thing, like no one ever pays attention to the person that's doing it, but when you see really good shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have, the Academy of Motion Pictures, whatever, who does the Academy Awards. They have a museum in LA, the Academy Museum, and they had an exhibition on that. And they had like, a life-size, what was it, Mount Rushmore from that Hitchcock movie. And you got to see like, it totally looks like it could be a photograph until you get up close and you see that it's all a painting. And yeah, it's really fascinating.
Crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, in anime, like, it's still kind of the analog part of anime production, right? So everything else you're either doing on a tablet or doing on paper and then scanning it and coloring it. But the backgrounds, generally, there's still someone painting that on a piece of paper. And that is exactly how you see it on the screen. So definitely a very important and fascinating part of the process.
Except for that one, I think it's a Netflix anime where they're gonna have like all the backgrounds AI generated.
Oh, God, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
A true passing of the torch.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Hooray. Art is dead.
It reminds me of the and these don't get a whole lot of use either anymore, but they used to be especially paramount for older films and low budget films, but the art of the matte painter.
Yeah. Same thing.
Right.
Yeah, that would make like these incredibly detailed and glorious backgrounds that you wouldn't even know were fake unless, you took the time to look. Like Blade Runner has some incredible matte paintings of the cityscapes and stuff, but just don't get that a whole lot anymore either. 'Cause, yeah, you can just computer generate a lot of that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the stuff I was talking about that they had the exhibit on. Super cool. All right. And the last thing that I have here, it's probably the wrong audience for this. All right, I'll start here. Do you guys remember Guilty Crown?
Oh yeah, Guilty Crown. They hyped the shit out of that.
So they hyped the shit out of it. It looked like it was going to be so amazing. It had like the most stacked staff. It was like a really impressive production. Really great in every way except the writing, which completely went to shit. They clearly did not have 26 episodes of coherent plot planned out. And it
didn't have one episode of coherent plot planned out for that damn thing, man. I tried to watch that shit.
It didn't need one episode. The first episode just had to look cool, and it did. And it sounded cool, and it was fun time. But yeah, it totally fell apart. And do you guys generally think that people still think about Guilty Crown these days?
No.
Only to complain.
Right. So it seems like Guilty Crown was supposed to be a big thing, and it failed, and it was forgotten, and it's been over 10 years. No one's thought about it in over 10 years. But in reality, Guilty Crown leaves behind this really bizarre and interesting legacy. So one thing that I always bring up about it is that it essentially formed the team that would go on to create the Attack on Titan anime. And even now that Attack on Titan is under completely different staff, mostly different staff, it still has Sawano from the Guilty Crown days, but it still very much follows kind of the style set by that Guilty Crown team. In general, I think you can kind of credit it with studio, because you know how we always talk about how new studios are generally formed from like the staff of a particular production at another studio. Wit Studio was kind of the Guilty Crown staff at Production IG when it split off. So yeah, those two extremely important things for the past decade plus of the anime industry kind of came from Guilty Crown. But the reason I'm bringing them up now is another thing that came from Guilty Crown is, in the story of the series, the female lead was a singer, and she was the front woman of a group called Egoist, which exists in the story of the series in fiction. And so they had the thing that some anime have where like, oh, the theme songs are by Egoist, like the band from the series. It's just the singer singing. But that group continued as like a real J-pop group for the past 12 years. And so like every Psycho-Pass anime has had theme songs by Egoist, this band that was supposed to be a fake band that existed inside this other series, unrelated. And a few other anime have had them, and they've been like touring and performing regularly in Japan for the past 12 years. And they're like really popular and successful. And the singer doesn't show her face. They still use a hologram of the girl from Guilty Crown for all of their performances from the past 12 years.
Bizarre.
So, yeah. Wow. In that space, Guilty Crown has survived extremely well. And the news here is that they are finally disbanding in October, so it'll be like exactly 12 years since Guilty Crown aired. Wow. And yeah, she's gonna go do her own solo thing. And I don't know if she's gonna show her face yet, but like she started in Egoist when she was 17, so she spent a very good chunk of her life just doing this Guilty Crown gig. And the other half of it is, of course, Rio from Supercell, who DJ knows very well. But Supercell and Rio have done a lot of other anime stuff and other J-pop stuff, and he'd done Vocaloid stuff. A lot of the biggest Hatsune Miku songs were from him. So yeah, he will continue to work. She will continue to work. But I think other than the everlasting, oh my god, that was a bad Guilty Crown reference. Sorry. Other than the eternal legacy that it carries from the Attack on Titan anime and Wit Studio and whatnot, this is kind of an end of an era for a series that you thought was long forgotten.
Already ended. Yeah.
For 11 and a half years or so. So, yep.
Wild.
It's like if you stretch Death Clock to its logical conclusion.
Exactly. It's like if random other TV series with like none of the same staff just had theme songs by Death Clock.
Is it because you can see them on tour, but they don't pretend to be the Death Clock characters. It's just Brandon Small and other people.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a step up, a couple notches higher.
True. Yeah, like even Gorillaz doesn't do the whole like animated holograms for the most part. It's like, yeah, it's Damon. He'll come up and sing in front of you guys. It's cool. It's just a regular band now.
It's like, we get it. There's a plot line and there's characters and stuff, but you know who runs this band.
Yeah. They tried that for like the first album or two when they only did a handful of shows, but now that they're a touring band, Damon's like, yeah, all right, I'm ready to be in the spotlight again.
Yeah.
And with so many featuring artists, it's like, what are we gonna give each of them like a character for the band? It's like, nah.
Yeah, I mean, they only did that for the first album anyway. Like by Demon Days, you had the live action guest artists appearing next to the cartoon characters in the music videos anyway. Your dad is upset. Anyway, that is all news I got, shockingly, from the past month and change.
I have one piece of news. I did not do that on purpose, but I think it's really exciting. It's not exactly news, but there was the announcement for the 5 anime films for AX Cinema Nights.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's happening this fall. I think it's spreading through somewhere around 300 different movie theater / cinema locations. So most people should find something relatively close. But it's not so much the fact that it's happening, more so than the movies that they're playing, I think, are really exciting, because everyone's used to seeing stuff like either the new movies or, the Ghibli Fest every year. So to see like Perfect Blue, Ghost in the Shell, Cowboy Bebop the movie, Tokyo Godfathers, and Paprika is really cool, especially because Tokyo Godfathers is in December.
Yeah, I love that.
That's probably the one I'd want to try to seek out and see.
Oh, for sure. That's the one I'd want to see, but to have like Satoshi Kon movies in the theater, I think is really cool, because I don't know how often, if ever, that really happened.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because when they announced the slate, I was like, oh, it's these movies again. Because Perfect Blue was in theaters in 2018. Tokyo Godfathers was in 2020, right before COVID.
Oh, that's probably why I didn't remember that was back in theaters at any given point.
Yeah, anything before 2020 feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, okay. Millennium Actress was as well.
Yes, Millennium Actress was in, I forget when that was, maybe 2019?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ghost in the Shell was in 2021. It actually got an IMAX run that year. But yeah, I know Paprika, I've never heard of being in US theaters. Cowboy Bebop movie, if it was 20 years ago. So yeah.
I think several of those Cone movies are also like anniversaries. It's like the 15-year for them or whatever. But
for Perfect Blue it's 25, and Tokyo Godfathers it's 20th.
Yeah, makes sense.
Any reason to go see those movies in theaters is a good excuse. I feel like, with Con is so deliberately like a cinema guy that it's like you're almost doing it a disservice not watching it at the theater.
I mean, out of all these, I think Paprika would be the most visually interesting to see on an enormous screen, especially because the Blu-ray sucks.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I hope they get like a good version. Like, sometimes Fathom events get awful copies of these movies, so hopefully they get better. Um, but yeah, the I missed Perfect Blue in 2018. I'm gonna miss it again this year. That's coming up pretty soon, but I'm definitely gonna see Paprika and Bebop because I haven't seen those in theaters yet. I think those are both next year already that they're gonna be showing them. So yeah, it extends out.
Paprika and Bebop are late January, early February.
Yeah.
Then Tokyo Godfathers is in December, Ghost in the Shell in November, and then Perfect Blue in September. So like next week.
Right. Yeah.
Tokyo Godfathers has already become like a yearly Christmas tradition for me. So like I
As it should be.
want to see that in theaters.
Yeah, if I've still got movie ticket credit by December, I will definitely do that.
Yeah, it is. It has become one of my favorite Christmas movies since I saw it in theaters when it came through last because it had like the new dub and everything,
Right.
which is really good. Obviously, anyone who hasn't seen that yet definitely should. It is a fantastic movie. It's got a little bit of everything for everyone. Got some comedy, some drama, some weird action movie bullshit. So it's got a very nice blend of things while keeping like Satoshi Kon's flair and style and everything. And of course, Paprika, especially because if there's still a single soul out there who doesn't know that like Paprika came before Inception,
Right.
Yeah.
that they should watch Paprika and see where some of that inspiration may have come from. And
Yeah,
just
and
to
what's
experience
the
that fucking surreal trip.
This is like the poster movie for people being like, were the artists on drugs when they made this? This is like the poster movie for that.
and Perfect Blue? Actually, we saw the Seiyu for Mima at Otakon. She was one of the guests of honor at Junko Iwao. She had like a really good Seiyu panel. Usually they're kind of empty, kind of vapid, but the veterans, they always have really good stories and they don't give a shit about like putting on a performance for you, like they're going to be real. So yeah, she went into a lot of great detail about her career, and when someone asked about Perfect Blue and working with Cone, she just like her manager agent person had to like stop her because she just kept talking. She just wanted to spend the whole panel like talking about her experience working with him, and yeah, it was really fascinating. But yeah, speaking of the connections between like Paprika and Inception, Perfect Blue has a pretty important legacy for Hollywood as well, because Darren Aronofsky actually, I think he like licensed the rights to adapt it into a movie just so that he could reference it in his movies. So like Requiem for a Dream in particular has a remake of the bathtub scene. I think that's what he specifically got those rights for. And then people
like you ripped the
say
straw.
that people say that Black Swan is like a very deliberate like remake of Perfect Blue, or rip off. He says there's no connection there, but the fact that he already recreated a scene verbatim in one of his earlier films seems like probably not a coincidence.
Yeah.
You can
I wonder how much he had to
theater.
pay for those.
Sorry, what?
I wonder how much he had to pay for those, for like the
For
rights, just so he could reference it. Like it probably isn't quite as much as I would think, but still, buying the rights for a thing just so you can reference it in other stuff.
Yeah, Disney did that with one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. They bought the rights to Tim Powers on Stranger Tides just so they could use the general plot points in the title for their Pirates of the Caribbean movie, which kind of sucks because on Stranger Tides was a great book and they turned it into a Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
I finally saw a movie that everyone has seen, but in case you haven't seen, I won't mention what the movie is. But it has a clip of The Godfather in it, and I noticed at the end of the credits they noted that they like got permission from Marlon Brando's estate. So apparently you can't even have a clip of another movie that has a shot of Marlon Brando in your movie without getting permission from his estate, which I found interesting.
Yeah, it's probably there are a few things that are like that where the estates of some of these people have a very tight grip on everything.
Yep.
Him being one of them.
But anyway, you can buy all those movie tickets on Fandango. So please do it.
Great plug.
Yeah. Find your closest theater that's showing them. It's very useful.
Just don't try to use some of the filters.
Hey.
Boom. All right, well, with that single piece of news that I have, I think we can move on to some stuff about the summer. I know there have been a lot of weird hitches in this season in particular. So we'll bounce around a little bit here. Get everyone's general feel on some stuff. Especially for things like Zom 100, which has had a plethora of ironic problems.
Mhm.
We can start there.
Yeah. I see everyone still likes it, which is good because it is really good. It's just, it feels like it's a show that's never actually going to end.
Yeah. So from my understanding is like Shaft was like co-producing it with that studio that was like made to make it, and then Shaft bounced off of it, or like what's happening?
No, I believe Shaft is still involved, but I mean, they weren't supposed to be involved in the first place. So like the first episode doesn't have Shaft in the credits at all. And so this new studio formed. They split off of OLM. They had this great ambitious production all planned out, and they were like, it's going to be incredible. We're going to make this first episode all by ourselves. We're going to put everything into it. It's going to be this incredible production. We're going to make fun of our old bosses at OLM for being this black company that the main character works at. It's going to be hilarious. And it was, and all of those things succeeded perfectly for one episode. And then starting in episode 2, not only did the quality go down, but they needed to bring in an experienced company like Shaft. I guess they probably burned their bridges with OLM. So they brought in Shaft, and they have been co-producing it with them ever since. And even with that, they're still like spread so thin that they've just had to keep delaying episodes, and now we're basically just on a bi-weekly schedule. And even then, like, the last episode that just aired was still delayed a week or a day from its normal time, which was already a week from when it would air otherwise. And then the last like 3 episodes of the series don't even have any release date planned. They're like, we'll figure out if we get that far, I guess.
Man.
And yeah, maybe after the last like episode that aired, Shaft isn't on it anymore. That might be true. I didn't hear about that. But yeah, it's rough, and it's a series about of trying to get away from working at an exploitive company that takes advantage of their workers and makes them sleep at their desk and all that shit that's probably happening here. So, bummer.
The content got too meta, and then the artists actually quit.
Like the fact that they used their old studio as the model for the company. Like, oh, those guys sure did suck. We'll never be like that. And then the
This
next
surely
week,
won't
like,
monkey's paw.
Exactly.
Surely not.
Yeah. I mean, incredible dramatic
for another clip show soon too, right?
Yes, next week I believe, or this coming
Excellent.
episode. Yep.
Fantastic.
Crazy.
Now, on the bright side, like we said, it is still good. So they probably could give us more frequent episodes and just have them look like shit. But, even though it's not quite at the level that the first episode was, it still looks good every week. It does not look like a series that is struggling under huge production problems. So, I'll take a bi-weekly schedule for a solid product throughout that will stand the test of time for years to come, over we rushed it out to get it out every week, and now it's going to be a piece of shit forever.
Yeah, I mean, I'd really rather have them, stretch it out and make it work, instead of like maybe they pull a Promised Neverland season 2, and they're like, actually, he got all 100 wishes done in 5 episodes. We're good. Pack it up, boys. Apocalypse is over.
Oh God.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, Kestrel, I'm also still very much so enjoying it. Yeah, and I think I'm not the greatest at noticing this, but after the initial drop in quality, that level has stayed consistent.
Mhm.
So it's not like we're seeing a gradual,
Right.
decrease in the quality of the episodes. It was that initial bump downwards, and now it's stayed about the same. So yeah, it's I don't know what this will do to people who are like new or prospective fans of the show or of anime. I imagine there are some people that say that this is a problem, while others are more on Kestrel's side of, hey, it's as long as it's good that people will keep watching regardless of what it releases, which is a fine pin to have to balance on for that type of thing. But I mean, the show still slaps, so it's got that going for it, and it's starting to hit kind of a nice stride since we're getting like the main characters introduced and starting to get kind of comfortable with each other. So yeah, I think that the people who like it will stick around even for the delays, and if people are going to bounce off the show and not keep watching it, I don't think there is a great chance that they were going to be interested in anything outside the show maybe in the first place. So
That's a very optimistic viewpoint to take. I think a large percentage of the fan base will send death threats to the staff for not getting episodes out to them every week.
Ugh.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's probably pretty accurate. I was thinking more like people who may have seen this like on Netflix or whatever and gave it a shot even though they don't normally watch anime because it's zombies and stuff and it has a somewhat relatable premise, and now maybe they'd bounce off of it because of the delays, but I feel like most people wouldn't care that much. Like you would just keep it in your queue when it says new episode, you just watch it and that's it.
Yeah, I think, Netflix, because they have the whole like binge model, I think that the non-anime fan who goes there isn't necessarily, committed to watching an episode every week anyway. Like they're used to all their stuff being available at once. So I think that fan who isn't really into anime but saw a fun zombie show on Netflix, probably a decent percentage will just wait for it to all be out anyway. And yeah, it is a really good crossover hit. So it's unfortunate that it's getting hit by these delays, but I think again that crossover audience is one that doesn't need a new episode every week anyway.
Did you see it already has a live action?
Yeah, it was made like at the same time. They were released almost at the same time. They had the.
I don't know how you could make that as good as the show for obvious reasons, as this show for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But it does have me somewhat curious.
Yeah, they had the lead actor for it, the guy who plays Akira, at Anime Expo for the Netflix panel, and they showed the trailer and talked about it and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it looks fun, I guess, but like you said, that show is just so animated and so cartoony and knows how to have so much fun that seems like it would be very weird and potentially probably very cringy to try to do it in live action.
I mean, let's be fair, there's an awful lot of live action anime based or manga based shows in Japan that are very hokey.
Yes.
It reminds me of like the Detroit Metal City live action, which did not work either.
Yeah. They try that with so much shit in Japan. Just pump out these no budget live action adaptations with like really low quality everything.
I think they just announced like another Naruto live action that like looks like cosplay level shit. It's like, oh my god, please stop. Hopefully, if anything, no matter what happens with this One Piece live action, maybe it'll at least set a precedent that like this is what it should at least try to look like. But Hey,
yeah,
yet to
I
be
mean,
seen.
the Hollywood paradigm is very different from the Japanese live action adaptation
Yeah.
paradigm.
I guess I shouldn't say it's like a good thing to like every show needs to have the greatest budget of all time to like
Right.
exist, but uh,
Yeah, like again, we'll talk about One Piece a lot next week or whatever, but it's hard for me to imagine that One Piece will make its money back. Like, no matter how much of a hit it is, they're making One Piece at that kind of budget. Like, no fucking way. But yeah, like I would say that prior to potentially 6 hours from now, generally the Japanese adaptations were better than US ones. A lot of them were like, really low budget, low quality in a lot of ways. But most of the US ones we've gotten have been so bad and just so like disrespectful to the source material. So yeah, I think the One Piece thing will be very different in many ways, especially for the US audience. But yeah, I don't think Japan can afford that for anything.
no.
I don't think most things can afford that for
No.
anything.
Yeah, I don't think Netflix can afford that, but they tried, and we'll see how it turns out for them.
Hey, it could be the next. Oh God, imagine this. Imagine if this is what it finally takes to get One Piece popular in the U.S. to a absurd degree.
I guess like how much more popular do we really need it to be right now?
I mean, it would just be weird if this is what finally makes it take off here.
I guess it's
That would be
pretty
so
big.
weird. I mean, it's big, but it's big in the like. Yeah, most people have heard of this stuff or whatever. I don't care what off topic because show out tomorrow, but like I just want it to do well enough to get one more season just because I want to see Jamie Lee Curtis beat Korea.
Yeah. I mean, you've got your monkey's paw there. Do you take whatever abomination they do for Chopper with Jamie Lee Curtis Correa?
Oh man.
Sure.
All right.
I'm hoping they go full Muppet Chopper.
They definitely won't.
Well, they did animatronic Dendemushi.
I guess, but that's
Yeah.
literally a machine.
Oh man, I would love if they did kind of like like the Yoda puppet style. That would be
Right.
amazing.
Yeah.
They
There's
just
no way.
like they
No
can
way
go to
that-
like Jim Henson's studios and be like, we need a really good puppet, and they'll be like, down with it.
Mm,
We'll see. Or we won't. We probably won't.
yeah.
I mean, Chopper looks like a plushie anyway.
Yeah.
Just like make it a plushie, like literally just like toss a plushie around, pretend it's a character.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess the technology they have for like Baby Yoda at this point, I could see them doing that, I suppose. It's hard for me to believe that Netflix has even done all of these like practical sets and animatronics and stuff like that because it seems so antithetical to their usual yeah.
Yeah, like to everything.
So it's cool to see, and maybe.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be able to figure this shit out on the next episode, I guess.
Yep. For sure.
I think that's
All right,
about
what else?
all there is for Zom 100 at this point.
Yeah, what else are you guys watching?
Are you watching anything, Kate?
Ah,
That's what I thought.
Well, I mean,
I will get
just
back.
from-
I'll
yeah,
get back to watching things. I'll get back to watching things in the fall. But
You say that every season.
no, well, like I usually do watch like a thing.
Do you have like a show that if it was announced, you would 100% commit to watching it that hasn't been released yet?
I don't know. What hasn't been released yet?
Say no white whales or anything like that?
I mean, Dungeon Meshi was that, but now it's going on Netflix next year. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm breaking down for this, so I'll probably break down for that too.
Nice.
But
Is Dungeon Meshi the delicious in dungeon one?
yes,
Nice.
yes,
Yeah, that looks cool.
It is D&D the anime.
That does look good. So I will watch that with you as well. We can watch it together, and then I will
Yay!
hold you at gunpoint. But
That's a very good
yeah,
number.
we got a couple other things that we're watching here. We obviously have Jujutsu Kaisen. I have mostly watched My Happy Marriage. It was actually an anime that Emily started before me, so I had to sit down and kind of get caught up
Mhm.
in everything.
What do you think about that? Because I feel like in a season where I was more inclined to be watching like slower paced drama stuff, I would have, but I don't know. I just didn't have the it in me this season to watch a show like that.
I like it. I think it's pretty good. I enjoy all of the characters in that they have depth to them. They're not just like caricatures of tropes and things of that nature. Like, it's another show where, for the most part, people can somewhat communicate their problems to each other. Like, obviously, there needs to be some drama, but it is a romance with adults. So, for the most part, I'm always pretty supportive of that idea as well. Plus, it's got cool sci-fi shit, which I wasn't
really?
expecting. But I mean, they got like magic, and I think they fight like weird undead stuff.
Yeah, there's like
I'm not
yokai, and they have magic powers and stuff.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
really? I literally thought this was like a straight, just like
Nah, dog.
romance drama show.
Nah, dog.
Oh man. Okay.
The main girl is like one of her sort of key features, at least early on, is the fact that she doesn't have these powers, at least right away. So she's like a late bloomer. So early on in life, she's like particularly lower valued, which leads to a lot of abuse from her family and people around her. And then some of that like latent energy starts coming out, and people are seeing that she does in fact have a large potential for power, and then they start abusing her for different reasons. But yeah, Emily really enjoyed it. She was like binging the whole goddamn thing, at least up until what was available. So now it's every Wednesday, I think.
Yep.
That we've been watching it. But yeah, I have been enjoying it so far, Kestrel. It looks like you have as well. Did you like read the? I don't know if this is original. Did it have like a manga that you read or something before, or is this also you just kind of going into it?
Yeah, I went into it blind. It's based on a novel series.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's I also wasn't really expecting the fantasy element initially, but it is pretty central to the series and the plot, the setting, and it does allow for some action in it. You know, it's mostly a drama, and it's good at being a drama, but it definitely has some nice action sequences, and it's a really beautiful production. Kinema Citrus is animating it, and yeah, they're really making it look great all the time. Both in the action and just like, you know, the beautiful painterly aesthetic of the quiet scenes. Music by Evan Call, who did Violet Evergarden. So yeah, really good production all around. And yeah, I was actually just thinking about it today and thinking about how I think you would like it, Cain. I didn't realize that you had watched any of it. Because I'm like, wow, the characters like talk and like communicate and say what they're feeling, and
It's a fucking miracle.
I mean, I guess it does make a little bit more sense because they're adults, whereas we usually get like these high schoolers that are, you know, having all these misunderstandings and not being able to talk to each other and stuff. And, you know, Mio, she doesn't really, you know, say what's on her mind, but that's because, you know, she has a lifetime of trauma from all the abuse that she's endured. So it's just the fact that Kyoka, who seems like initially he seems like he'll be this, you know, super cold, dark, brooding, edgy kind of like, you know, I have to find the heart in the depths of his coldness and bring it out and turn him into a good boy. No, he's just like a good guy who's kind of, you know, not that into women trying to steal his fortune or whatever.
He's also just generally like a short person.
Yeah.
As in, he has a
Right.
little bit of aloofness and a little bit of shortness with people that they seem to mistake as like anger and
Right.
a
Wait, so he's just Mr. Darcy?
kind of, yeah. Yeah, that's
Okay.
actually a pretty good. Except he can shoot lightning.
Well, yeah. Well, you know.
So it's been a while since I've read any Jane Austen, but I don't recall that in Pride and Prejudice or any other story.
I'm sure there's an adaptation of it where that happens.
Oh, absolutely, there has to be. But yeah, that's a
Pride and
pretty.
Prejudice and lightning.
But yeah, that's a pretty good comparison. Actually, he has a very similar personality. It's just everybody mistakes him as being incredibly cruel and
Yeah.
you know, a generally distasteful person. And in fact, Kyoka is just a perfectly fine dude.
Yeah, like he's definitely like you said, kind of aloof and, plays stuff close to his chest and is kind of awkward himself, not that good at like, being friendly with strangers and stuff like that, or in general. Just he's honestly both main characters have realistic issues with expressing themselves and communicating and interacting with other people, but he is very proactive about being like, oh, you're an actual good person. I want you in my life. How can I help you? How can I help you overcome this trauma that you've endured? How can I help you, communicate and survive in this new world that you're being thrust into? And, realize that other people in the world are not like your family and you don't need to be subservient to them. And it's basically just like, their relationship is kind of idealized. They don't have a lot of drama within themselves. Everything is, other enemies lurking in the shadows. But just as a support system, the way that he's able to, just care about what she needs to relate to the outside world and try to heal her is really moving and I think well done and realistic.
Yeah, and the abuse that Miyu goes through is rather intense at times. It's not explicit or anything, but this is like some for real psychological and sometimes physical stuff she goes through from her family. That's more than you would sort of expect. So you do have to kind of be prepared for it because it's like they're not just like off telling her that she's like, oh, you're just ugly and dumb. They're like threatening to kill her and smashing all of her stuff and generally ruining her life. So it makes the moments where Kyoka does come to defend her, especially at a very pinnacle scene where he kind of goes full demon mode.
Right.
It does make it very satisfying in a way to see the bad people in Mio's life actually get some comeuppance outside of just, oh no, they couldn't marry into the right family or something. They get both their comeuppance metaphorically as well as physically.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very cathartic and it's definitely kind of a wish fulfillment scenario.
Oh, hell yeah.
She's kind of like the perfect victim and he is her perfect protector and you get to see the evil stepmother and step/half sister. It's very Cinderella. So yeah, it follows a lot of tropes, but it's still realistic enough in the character writing and entertaining enough that it works out.
Yeah, I think you would like it, Bran. There's a good balance between the drama and the action portions in a way. So it can bring some refreshing stuff. So depending on which one you kind of like, it gives you a little bit of variety there.
Okay.
I think it has 9 episodes or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure off the top of my head, but
Yeah, this is, I think, the first time I've actually seen Netflix do a proper simulcast. I guess they were doing Vinland Saga Season 2 as well, and they're doing Zom 100, but, I'm watching those on Crunchyroll, so I didn't need that. But in terms of, we actually get it day and date with Japan, they even have a proper simul dub. Like, the dubbed episodes come out every week when the Japanese episodes air in Japan.
Oh, wow.
So they're on top of this one.
That's neat.
That's shocking.
Yeah. Good to see. It only took them 15 years to figure out simulcasting like everyone else has been doing.
A decade and a half, no problem.
Yep.
Yeah, we can shift as well. The last one we basically all have in common is Jujutsu Kaisen. Has it had any new episodes recently? I honestly haven't really checked into it since it kind of went on that hiatus.
I think tomorrow is its first one in a month.
Yeah, they basically took a break between the arcs.
Yeah.
And is the first one that's coming up the beginning of the, was it Shibuya incident arc?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Cool. So I should probably find some time to watch the movie then between now and when I watch it.
Oh, for sure. I think especially after finishing Hidden Inventory and refreshing myself on the content of it, I think the movie before this next arc is a perfect transition. Honestly,
that's what I read.
It might also even be better to watch it now for the first time than having watched it when it came out, because I feel like then the movie, at least for people who weren't reading the manga, were kind of okay, this the Geto is still the villain here, but they're showing that he has some kind of past with Gojo, but we don't really know what's going on. I feel like watching the movie after Hidden Inventory and Premature Death really gives you a good insight into oh, this is how he came to be such a fucked up dude.
So, yeah. I wonder if they didn't have to stick to the 24 episode schedule, if they would have adapted Zero in between these two arcs instead.
Yeah. I mean, hey, fucking Demon Slayer can get away with it. Why can't JJK?
Yeah. Sure.
But I really like this last arc. I feel like I still consistent with the first few episodes, just really like the new direction style, and I'm excited to see that translated in what is, I think, the best arc of the show or of the series coming up.
That's what I keep hearing.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hype it up too much, but it really is I feel like what the whole thing has been building up to. And I'm going to be in Tokyo when it's going to be airing, which is fun. But I wish I could be there during Halloween. That would be cool. But alas, can't be perfect.
Yeah, I think I particularly enjoyed Ghetto's role in that Hidden Inventory season, and seeing him go from not fully buying into being a good guy almost, and then just swinging it around and just going completely into bad guy territory. I remember I texted you briefly about it, Kestrel. I was like, yeah, this, I can understand where Ghetto's coming from. It's something that weirdly, obviously without all the murder and stuff, you can draw to people who do any jobs that they work with the general public. Because working in IT was when I first started when I was younger, I'm like, I want to help the users and empower them to learn how to use computers. And now I'm at a point where I'm just like, man, fuck them. Just
kill all the monkeys.
Yeah, kill them.
Yeah.
They still don't understand how emails work.
The scene where they're all clapping and he's just going insane was just so well done. I was like, okay, now I get it. Who wouldn't heel turn after that?
I like and I think I enjoyed how that sequence played out because I can't quite remember if these happened one after the other, but Geto has that conversation with Yuki, like Tsukumo or whatever her name is.
Special grade. Yeah,
the special grade about how he's sort of at war with himself because he doesn't know which one is his true personality, if any of them, and stuff. And he's really kind of in a bind with wondering if he still believes the philosophy that he was talking to Gojo about earlier, like in the basketball court, like how they have a duty to protect the weak and non-sorcerers, and that is the responsibility and burden of being strong and stuff. And now he's like, I also kind of hate them because they never seem to learn anything or be thankful, or they continue to, hate what they don't understand, that kind of stuff. And then I believe it just like cut to that dude's dead body, and then it cut to him burning that whole village to the ground.
Yeah.
Like you get an express route that just it is shocking and effective. Like I thought it was a very good way that they handled that, because they also could have showed Geto like slowly forming into that and making those decisions, and instead they were just like, no, he was on the edge, and then these two terrible things happened, and that was it.
Yeah.
Like
he had that
conversation. Very
with
cinematic in a way.
Yeah, he had that conversation with her and just like logicked it out. He's like, how do we win this in the end? It's like, okay, we kill all the curses. All right, that's going to be kind of hard. Okay, well, where do the curses come from? Oh, all the people who aren't sorcerers. So if there are no Jujutsu sorcerers, then we don't have to worry about curses anymore. It's like, oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Just kill all the non-Jujutsu sorcerers.
I mean, she kind of like spoon-fed it to him too.
Yeah.
She's like, definitely. Hey, you seem kind of unhinged and ready to be radicalized. Have you considered genocide?
For real.
Jehovah's witnessed him into genocide.
She gaslit the shit out of him. That's funny.
Yeah, I personally think that the villains in this were actually more interesting than the protagonists. Like, I also really enjoyed watching how Toji did his shit early on with Duncan on Gojo so hard. Yeah. And I spent today thinking about necessarily why that is. Like, why did I like him so much? Outside of he has big muscles.
Super hot.
And he's voice actor too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's more of, I'm a sucker for a villain that has like an immense amount of knowledge, but has an active disdain for that knowledge. Almost like Toji knew everything, like how to deal with Gojo and how to deal with these other stuff, and like the other characters, but he just had such a like flippant way of displaying that knowledge in a very almost mechanical way of using it. Like, it wasn't some magic, it was just like a tool that allows him to do his job. And then when he was done, he was like, now I'm gonna go bet on boat races. So maybe it's because of how like analytical and logical he was. Like, I still don't know how to really describe it very much, other than he has the same knowledge as a Jujutsu sorcerer, but he's just like, but Jujutsu sorcerers are lame, so
it's just like he did it all out of spite, really.
Yeah, he's like super spiteful, but in a way that it's not outwardly facing, where he's like, you're the problem, you're this. He's just like, nah, I know everything that you know, and I'm just gonna kill you and then go eat dumplings. Which, yeah, I think every once in a while I need a good, almost empty villain in my life like that. Like, not every villain needs to be a tortured psyche, downtrodden by society or having some incredible ambition. It's just a guy that gets paid to do a thing.
Yeah.
For him, it was a Tuesday.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it was almost kind of whiplash going through this arc, and then at the very end seeing like all like the students again. I was like, oh yeah, this show's about them. I forgot.
Yeah, I know, because not only have we not seen them this season, but the movie was also a prequel where we didn't have them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get a whole lot of Yuji or Nobara time or anything until like the last 20 seconds.
I mean,
Yeah.
you got Nobara, they just called her something else.
That's true. You got Nobara's
true.
copy paste.
He's like,
This-
no one will notice if I just use the same design for the same role.
Yeah. This whole season was them proving that, yes, Gojo is him. And now we're going to go back to showing you the guys we are telling you are the main characters. Like, oh.
Yeah, right. Because you had the first season, which was everyone cared about Gojo, and then Zero, where everyone cared about Gojo, and the main characters of the first season weren't in it at all. And then this season so far has been Gojo's literally the main character, and none of the characters from those other two exist. And then we get a month off.
Yeah, not to spoil anything, but currently in the manga, Gojo is once again the main character, and the main characters are all sidelined.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's funny too because there are interviews from the author saying that he hates Gojo. He's like, this guy became so popular that I wanted to like stop drawing him forever. It's like, okay, dude.
Editor's not allowing that.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you make a handsome demigod.
Yeah. You can't give him eyes like that and expect the Fujoshis not to go crazy.
Yeah, I wonder if, like, between Zero, which was not Zero at the time, but his original manga, and Jujutsu Kaisen proper, if his editor was like, you can change anything else about the cast, but you gotta keep Gojo. We need him as a main character still.
Yeah.
If it had already reached that point. Because he is basically the only one who's a main character in both Zero and the series proper.
Gojo moves merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. But yeah, it's crazy because all this stuff is like coming out. All these things that like I want to talk about. It's like live action One Piece that comes out tomorrow. New Jujutsu Kaisen that comes out tomorrow. It's a
All
bunch
right,
of
we'll record again
stuff.
tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll just have to make time to watch this movie and then I'll be ready to rock
Oh yeah.
for more of the Gojo show, apparently. But I think that's it for the shows that I'm really watching at this point, at least new stuff. So if there are any ones that you folks want to go over right quick, yeah, I do have a little bit of a hard network out, to use a older radio term, hate myself, but that I gotta commit to. But yeah.
Yeah, if you think kids don't know what VHSs and Blu-rays are, they probably also don't know those radio terms either.
Maybe.
Maybe.
It depends if sports radio still exists in places because they use those terms, and it's like some of the only popular like talk
That's
radio that
true.
is
I
around.
still see people like sitting on the porch listening to like baseball.
Yo, I do.
Yeah, that definitely still happens. Like I see people that live blocks down from Wrigley, like listening to the Cubs game on the radio.
I think it's probably because it costs $1 million to go to a Cubs game.
It's true. That's true. The only thing I want to talk about, because I don't really have anything much to say about most of the rest of the seasonals, is that I wish more people watched Baki, because that shit is so stupid. Like, if JoJo can get as popular as it is based on how memeable and crazy it is, like, Baki should be extremely popular. But
well, see, there's a main difference there, which is JoJo is fabulous.
that is true.
Baki is disturbing to look at.
Baki is like it's kind of body horror. That's true.
Yeah, it really is. It's incredibly grotesque.
Yeah, and I think it works in the manga because of how like hyper detailed and insane it looks. But the anime has always looked a bit jank, which I will be fair. The anime has never looked great. It's more consistent in the last few seasons, but I don't know. It's just so fun how stupid. Like the plotline of this most recent season is they find a caveman like buried in ice from literally the Cretaceous period, and they unfreeze him, and he was like the apex predator of his time who would like fight dinosaurs. And basically all the big hitters from Baki are like, I gotta fight this dude. So it's just like the whole season is people trying to be like, this guy is like the pinnacle of human fighting from ancient times. Let's see him go up against what modern fighters can do. And it's just so stupid and so fun.
Didn't Dr. Stone do that?
Yeah, kind of.
Sort of. Well, yeah, except for that guy wasn't from the Stone Age. He was from
but,
like
yeah,
he was like the most fearsome like teenage
was he
fighter
like
ever.
MMA fighter or something?
Yeah.
but it was the same concept.
It's
Yeah,
pretty similar.
basically.
They kind of look similar too. Like Pickle has like the long flowing hair, and he's like visibly much bigger than everybody.
Mm.
But yeah, no, Baki's a lot of fun. I love that show. It's so dumb. And I hopped on when it came to Netflix, so kind of like in the middle of the series, but I honestly don't think it matters too much. Like you got this guy is like the Chinese kung fu master, and this guy's the karate master, and Baki, you know, he's the son of the guy who is the strongest creature on earth. And
Isn't that Kaido?
no, he's basically Kaido, and yeah, it is the same voice actor.
Oh, nice. I was
You're
just
also
saying that
forgetting
was
that
like
there's
Kaido's
Muhammad
up
Ali.
Oh yeah, there was that whole season where he fought Muhammad Ali's son. It's so stupid. Like one of the major plot points for his dad, which is this guy is quite the character. He's like so over the top, but there is a rule, and it happens over and over in Baki, where every time a new U.S. president is elected,
there.
Oh yeah.
they have to like sign a decree that like they will not try to like interfere with Yujiro Hanma's life. And in the most recent season, he has a meeting with Obama, and if you switch it to the English dub version, there's a guy that they get that does like a decent Obama impression, and it's so funny. It is so over the top. But he does eventually also have a meeting with Trump, from what I've seen in the manga, so that should be amazing when it comes out too.
Have you seen that manga panel?
Baki and his dad have the weirdest relationship on the planet.
It's pretty weird. Baki definitely is like
Baki's dad helps him get laid.
It's true. Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, he's like, yes, son, you've had sex. Now you can be extra strong.
Like, Dad, what are you doing here? It's like, no, I need to watch this. This is when you become a real fighter.
It is fucking weird.
Yeah.
So it actually reminds me of, because I haven't watched Baki in a while, but I watched it when it was first on Netflix as well, and all the way up through that Muhammad Ali Jr. and then like the fighting tournament arc where they were in that like Coliseum.
Yeah.
But it always reminded me of, this is what Dragon Ball Z would be like if you took the aliens out.
Basically,
it would just be Goku and Vegeta getting grotesquely muscular and just fighting stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if JoJo never developed stand powers, I assume this is kind of what it would be like. Because it does the same thing where the narrator will just start like hyper describing like one minuscule thing. And it might not even have to do with fighting, but like it's important that like we know about like the pressure of water in a certain like atmosphere, that when he swings his fist this way, like the currents of the world shift, and it's just so stupid.
I mean, before JoJo was fabulous, it was kind of disgustingly muscular men.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess kind of got that going for it.
Yeah. Well, even if it doesn't get popular, they still, for some reason, keep making it. So I'm happy with that.
Someone's watching it.
Obviously, I don't know. It's already got like 4 seasons on Netflix. Like, I don't know.
Somebody somewhere's fetish, and it just keeps going.
Yeah.
I think like yesterday, my coworker who does not watch anime and definitely has not seen the last like 6 seasons of Baki was like, "Yo, do you check out this Baki Hanma thing that just came out on Netflix? It's pretty cool." Like, really?
Well, your friend's correct.
Yeah.
and like no one has seen the old Funimation released 90s 2D Baki anime that is watching on Netflix. Like everyone started with that first Baki season.
Yeah, I really didn't know until I like looked into it. I was like, oh, there was like a whole like 2 or 3 other mangas that came before this one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know if there's any viable way of really watching that anymore.
Yeah, probably not.
But yeah, that's my piece on Baki.
Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, it's so fun. There's another batch just dropped, so I don't even know what's in store for the second half.
Kestrel, what about you?
What about me?
Is there anything else you wanted to cover real quick that you're watching for the summer?
Let's see, what else is there? Not a lot of new things. I guess the one other thing I'll mention is another series that I'm reviewing, which is Undead Girl Murder Farce, which has a supporting cast that includes Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Watson, Professor Moriarty, Inspector Lestrade, Arsène Lupin, Eric from The Phantom of the Opera, Aleister Crowley, Carmilla, Frankenstein's Monster, Jack the Ripper, Phileas Fogg, and Jean Passepartout from Around the World in 80 Days, and many others.
This is like the Expendables of detectives.
What was that, Cain?
Where's Poirot?
I'm sure he'll show up soon. But yeah, that show is wild.
Oh, Kestrel, what do you feel about Gear 5? That's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, that first episode was hyped up a lot, and it wasn't that great of an episode for what it was. It had a lot of issues, but the animation for Gear 5 was pretty phenomenal, so I'm happy that it got that, and it's pretty awesome to watch.
I think it's unfortunate that they've been hyping it up to be such an event, but then like it's still Toei, so like there's so many things wrong with how they're milking it, because it's so weird too, because I know that when Ultra Instinct happened in DB Super, they made it like a double feature episode, and it kind of boggles my mind that they didn't double feature the Gear 5 episode, because the second episode of it was honestly better.
Yeah.
And if they packaged it as like a special like hour-long episode, I think people would have enjoyed it a lot more. And then of course, like the week after those 2 episodes, there's like an episode that's basically all recap and stuff. And I don't know, that just kind of like really kills me that the One Piece anime is like at this like simultaneously like amazing and also dog shit.
I mean, like even the best efforts of the staff can't, make up for the fact that they're still putting out an episode every week. Like nobody has any control over that. It's like just a fact of physics at this point. So you can't get around the fact that you've got 15 pages of manga 2 or 3 times a month and half an hour of television every week. Like there's no way you can have decent pacing at that rate. So it's unfortunate, but the pacing is never going to be good as everything else about the anime is.
Yeah. I guess my opinion of everything always just gets soured because of the internet and Twitter. Because like the moment all of this is going on, like no one wants to be excited or happy. Everyone's just like, okay, but now let's put One Piece against Dragon Ball and really talk about which one's better now that Gear 5 is out. And it's like, can you just enjoy things, please? But,
no, I need to feel superior.
And also, like, One Piece has already done the double feature thing. They did that for like Luffy versus Sanji and Whole Cake.
Oh yeah. So, I don't know what I don't know what that's about. I don't know. They know their schedule better than I do, I guess. But
it does seem like even with the pacing that they have to do with the adaptive rate. Like they knew this was going to be a big episode. They went all out with the animation on those scenes. They, brought back ending themes for the first time in like 17 or 18 years, starting with that episode. It was a big deal. So the fact that they didn't make it well paced for that one episode, like they've got enough content that they could have made that episode really incredible and then just stretched out the next 4 or 5. But it was like, we're just going to show the same scenes over and over again and repeat the same stuff and drag it out and show some unrelated scenes mixed in there. And then we finally get to Gear 5 and it's really cool. But like, it wasn't that well constructed of an episode for what it was going for.
No. Yeah, I would have much rather had them like, do like one episode or like a 2-episode special thing that like really showed it off. And then I don't care if the next 3 weeks are like recap. Just like give me this moment.
Yeah, exactly.
But still like amazing. It was such a great step forward for One Piece in general, just because like Kaido and Luffy have been fighting on that roof for fucking 10 years at this point. So.
And especially like getting to see that in animation, because it is all about animation, which it's really hilarious to see it come like the same month as they're attempting One Piece in live action. Like literally the content of the series that shows you how important it is for this to be a cartoon comes a few weeks before they try to make it not a cartoon.
Yeah.
All right.
In a world where somehow the live action gets to Wano arc, what happens then?
Well, then it's all CG.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is really great to see that animated and get all the sound effects and shit and just see the directors like going all out with visual references to Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes and stuff.
Yeah. I think that was my like takeaway from it too, was I was like laughing for half of the Gear 5 moments, and that's honestly something I don't get a lot with One Piece anymore since like the post time skip content. So I feel like that jovial, literally Joy Boy, he brought the fun back to One Piece.
Exactly.
He made it Fun Piece again.
Ooh, nice. We won't use that as the episode title because we're going to be talking about One Piece next week.
That's true. Yeah, we can't double up. But so why weren't you at the screening where Oda was? I assume.
I just saw that Oda was there, actually. Yes, I was too busy hanging out with Joe Hisaishi to hang out with Eiichiro Oda.
Oh, this was that
This
night,
is the problem with Los Angeles is there's so much happening all the time that you have 2 of the greatest legends in the history of anime in the same city.
And they're booked at the same time.
At the exact same moment. Like they both started at 8 p.m. that night, too.
That's crazy.
When they put up that article of the One Piece screening or whatever, and they had that shot, and I realized like, oh my god, that's Oda from the back. He was at the thing, and no one knows what he looks like, so no one probably knew that was him.
That's honestly so amazing.
Yep. It hurts a little bit, but I probably wouldn't have noticed him anyway.
Wearing Gucci sandals.
The Gucci slippers were fucking the cherry on top. I'm like, what?
Yep.
Love that.
Well, I think if that's about it, we can move on to any recommendations that we may have or anything of that nature.
Yeah.
I guess I've got 2 recommendations. The first one is a video game, and I think right now no one is sore or like lacking in a video game that might pique their interest, because Baldur's Gate 3 just came out. Everyone's loving that. Cyberpunk Bomb Rush, which is like the Jet Set Radio spiritual successor, just came out, and that looks really fun. And then I know Starfield's coming out soon, and everyone's gonna want to play that. But my recommendation is, of course, going to be Armored Core 6, the new From Software title. and I've only been able to play it for a few hours last night for the first time, but I already know I'm gonna really keep enjoying that. So definitely recommend that game. And then my other recommendation, not anime but TV still. If you are a fan of Adventure Time, by the time this episode airs, they're releasing a new series of Fiona and Cake series on Mac, and I'm really looking forward to that because I'm a big old Adventure Time fan, so I'm really excited for that to come out.
Yeah, I'll recommend a few recent nice collector's editions I got. So the second half of Ranking of Kings just came out, and that's got a nice collector's edition with a really nice art book in it. Also, the last season of Haikyuu to the Top finally got its limited edition after many, many years. So that also has the full 2 core season of that with nice hardcover art book with a bunch of like info and interviews and stuff. So definitely recommend both of those. Also, the Evangelion soundtrack just came out on vinyl, so I should be getting my copy of that any moment now. This came out in theaters a month ago now during Otakon, so I highly doubt anyone is still showing it. But if you get a chance to see the first Slam Dunk, whether it's before the Blu-ray or when it does eventually come out, definitely do that. It is an incredible movie, and it doesn't require you to really know anything about Slam Dunk, so you can go in fresh. If you do know anything about Slam Dunk, you'll appreciate it even more, but it's really good either way.
Yeah, I saw that it did really well in the theaters and made a good amount of money, which is always good to see any sports-related anime content be successful. So I'm definitely going to check it out when it becomes available stateside.
Yeah, and it's directed by Inoue, the mangaka, who just decided he wanted to try being a filmmaker, and he's a fucking natural. He does an incredible job. It's like CG in a way that a mangaka would make CG, kind of. It's really like innovative and fascinating, and probably like my favorite CG anime. I feel like it's the only one that I really like. Everyone loves Orange, and they're fine, but I feel like this is the first time where I've been like, wow, this is maybe enhanced by being CG.
Yeah.
Strong recommendation.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Evangelion vinyl. Did you also happen to see that there was an announcement for a Yoko Kanno 11 LP box set for all
the Bebop one, or Yoko Kanno specifically?
Okay. Well, it's the Bebop one, but
yeah. I did see that.
And vinyl companies have their hooks in the weebs.
I know. Yeah,
they really do.
I don't know if I need to spend hundreds of dollars on a Bebop vinyl box, but it's certainly like tempting.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially because I still don't think you actually listen to them, do you?
I mean, I listen to everyone I get at least once when I get it, and then like sometimes when we'll be like making breakfast on a weekend morning, we'll put on a vinyl, but not very often. And also, I don't particularly like the sound of vinyl.
You don't like all the hissing and the popping?
I don't know.
But it sounds so warm.
That's what I hear.
I like it. So
I know.
Nice.
So I send you everyone that they put up.
I know, and I look at them and I want to buy them, but then the frugal side of me comes in. It's like, why would I want to spend $87 for this?
Yeah. The Ava one was like very reasonable, just a standard couple of vinyl records. This one though, like 310 for Bebop on a format I don't like. I don't know about that.
Yeah, especially because I have that one, that the very first one that they released, like when they started doing all this.
Yeah,
same.
So that's got all the bops on it. That's
Yeah,
good,
between
the
11
good
and
ones.
these, there's probably going to be like demos and other like different takes and stuff. So like, unless you're like
Yeah.
a real audiophile, I don't really think it's worth getting over just the show's OST, which they have on much more affordable vinyl.
Yeah, I
Yep.
mean there are quite a few albums of like the soundtrack proper because she made so many tracks for that show and the movie. So like I have digital copies of all of them. They're all on iTunes and Amazon and stuff, or whatever the fuck iTunes is called these days. So you can get all of those digitally for a few bucks, and there's like maybe 5 or so like core albums of the series and the movie. Definitely recommend at least having them in some form because I listen to those all the time and it's all incredible. But yeah, for a format I'm not probably going to listen to very often for a display piece, basically. I don't know that I need to spend $300+.
Fair.
For me, I think the only recommendation that I have, and it's also a video game, but not Armored Core, even though I agree with that one as well. But Blasphemous 2 came out,
Oh, nice.
and that's also very good if you like Metroidvanias. It has very good art. It has, I guess, maybe for budgetary or maybe stylistic reasons, more anime style cutscenes when they used to be more like pixelated, like in engine, so to speak,
That's
cutscenes in the first
interesting.
one. But the second one is really good. It brought good variety. It's gross. Like there's so many weird, disgusting enemies that you have to fight, which is like a hallmark of the first game in a way. Like the very creative enemies and the religious undertones to a lot of them.
Undertones, overtones.
Yeah,
It is very Spanish Catholic and in Spanish Inquisition Catholicism weird bullshit.
yeah. The second one even more so. Like even more so with the Spanish Catholicism stuff. But it's very good and very fun. It's also not a huge time sink, so I think the main campaign is playing out in somewhere around like 11-12 hours, which by most video games is pretty slim. So it's not something that you have to buy and then be like, well, I guess I gotta find 90 hours for this.
Yeah. What's that thing going that always goes around? I want my games to be shorter with worse graphics, made in less time, and the creators make more money. And I'm not kidding.
But
Well,
it's
luckily,
true.
Blasphemous 2 checks all those boxes.
Noise.
You boys took all my recommendations, so I was like, I could recommend Baldur's Gate 3,
You still
and then
can.
you rattled off all
I
of the other video
mentioned-
games except for Blasphemous 2, and I'm like, I could say Blasphemous 2, and then Cain took that, so I'm like, I'm just over here playing all the video games because all the video games are out.
I've still yet to play Baldur's Gate, so you can wholeheartedly sponsor that one.
No, I haven't played it yet either because I have to wait for the PS5 release. So yeah, so which is like next week. So yeah, all the video games are out right now. So play some video games. I have a friend who actually works at Bethesda and he's one of the narrative designers on Starfield, so that's all I'm hearing about in that friend group but in like clouded references because he can't actually like talk about it other than like, hey, buy my game please, thank you.
Yeah.
So
well, that's gonna be interesting when that drops. There's gonna be so much
for
shit
him
slinging.
I'm hoping for his sake it's not totally broken. So they've been in cleanup on that game for a while, this I know. So hopefully they squashed many bugs before it goes out the door.
Wouldn't be Bethesda if it didn't launch
broken,
completely buggy.
Yeah.
Will she?
Yeah, all right. Well, I think that takes care of everything. So, per usual, why don't we tell everyone where they can find us, both podcast-wise and individually, starting with Brandon this time.
Me?
Yeah, you.
I've never done the podcast shtick, but you can find Fandom Post Radio anywhere you listen to podcasts. So go do that. I'm not going to list them all like Kestrel does because I don't want to list them all. But yeah. And then you can find me at Hellshake Brando on all the socials. And I haven't done much for FP besides the podcast in a minute. So yeah, I'll be back here again probably for the One Piece talks.
And Kestrel, how about you? Also, Brandon, you're a natural.
Thanks.
Brandon is correct that you can find us wherever you find podcasts, but those places include Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. I think Stitcher doesn't exist anymore, so I got to remember to stop saying that. SoundCloud, Amazon stuff, Alexa stuff, whatever, Facebook stuff, social media. We are currently still just on Facebook and a social media platform that may be called Twitter or X, depending on what device you're viewing it on. We haven't attempted to expand out to any of those other places yet. I guess we'll see how it shakes out. And you can also get in contact with us at Gmail, fandompostradio@gmail.com. Also, you can just find the episodes posted on fandompost.com. And you can find me on fandompost.com writing reviews for those shows I talked about, Psalm 100 and Undead Girl Murder Farce, every week this season. And you can find me on that other social media platform that doesn't have an identity anymore. I post things almost never.
Accurate.
And
buy stuff from Fandango. Awesome.
man, that's how a pro does it right there. As usual, you can find me just right here, spouting opinions and things of that nature. No real social media presence on Twitter, Twitter's corpse, X, whatever you want to call it.
Platform formerly
that's about
known.
it. And then finally, Kate, how about you?
You can find me on the internet at SonicBug. Because blanket, I think I might be the only Sonic Bug on the internet. So you can find me on the internet at Sonic Bug. I'm out there. I'm currently reviewing a bunch of manga and light novels. That's mostly what has been taking up my summer. So it's not like I'm not doing anything for the website. I have been posting reviews regularly. And I will be back to reviewing anime in the fall because Dr. Stone should be back, and I'm going to pick up at least one of those fantasy series to review. Probably. Because there's a fucking lot of them, man. I was just looking at it. I'm like, Jesus Christ. It's a fall of fantasy. And
Sorry, Kate.
And what?
We're past his time.
That's fine.
Okay, we're wrapping it up.
Oh no, we're done. Kane's gonna turn into a pumpkin.
Yes.
We got to go.
What if it
Kane
just
has turned into an AI pumpkin.
The episode hard cut Sopranos style?
Exactly.
The music cue, and then just.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't want to play any of that song because it'll get us like kicked off everything we're on. So I will refrain from doing that and just play our normal outro. Thanks for joining us. Tune in next episode for the big One Piece live action discussion. Opla.
T-minus 5 hours.
I
Go
really
watch.
want Opla to stick now.
Opla. OPLA.
Okay.
Yeah, join us next time. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you on the internet.
Bye bye.
Later.
Yeah.
Ciao.